Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
So I have three guests for this discussion. Tatlo lang kayo. I believe I have top 10 students. So for today's lesson, I invited the top 10 students of my previous class from the first semester. So they will be the one who is gonna help me discuss this topic. Tulungan niyo ba ako? Miss Montajes, Loremas, and Redubla.
Itatry, sir.
So, sinend ko naman sa iyo yung module natin for lesson 1.1. So, madali lang naman yan to start our discussions. Okay, regarding risk management as applied to safety, security, and sanitation. Ayan, so nandito na po sila. Good afternoon, guys. So, shall we start para makapag-proceed tayo sa susunod na reporter, no? So again, good afternoon, everyone. I am your instructor for this semester on risk management as applied to safety, security, and sanitation. My name is Erwin Cinco Aureliano. So let's proceed to our topic. The whole course will comprise of 3 units. Okay, so that will be the Unit 1, Risk Assessment within the framework of risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. We will define what is risk identification, how will we identify the risk, we analyze it, and then we evaluated it on how we can minimize the risk on our work area or workplace. And the Unit 2 is the risk assessment as applied to safety and security. So once we identify, analysis, and evaluate the risk, i-assess naman natin yung risk as applied to the safety and the security of the workers, of our employees. And the last unit, Unit 3, is the risk assessment as applied to food sanitation, and safety. Yung Unit 3 natin, yung pinaka-complex sa lahat. Doon tayo actually magfo-focus. Marami tayo. But we have to first start with the Unit 1. We have to assess the risk of within the framework of risk identification, analysis, and evaluation. So, next slide please. As management tool, risk assessment is powerful as provides fact-based and science-based decision-making in safety, security, and sanitation. What does it mean when it tells us that it should be fact-based and science-based? Anyone from my guest? First, what is fact-based?
Sir, pwede po mag-try?
Yes, everyone are very much welcome to answer and to butt in with my discussion. Alright, sige, go ahead.
Ano po, may pruweba po?
May pruweba. Okay? Fact. Ibig sabihin, may pruweba ka, may pinanggalingan yon, at ito ay yung totoong nangyari. How about science-based? Pinag-aralan. Okay, very good, Miss Geronimo.
May method po, paano po siya nagawa? Or...
Correct. Ayan, may method. Scientifically based. Okay, ibig sabihin may method na sinunod. Ano yung unang ginawa? Okay, ano yung susunod na gagawin para i-resolve? When making a decision on safety, security, and sanitation, it should be fact-based and science-based decision-making method. So the trifocal function of risk assessment as overarching process shall be conducted through the discipline of risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. Yun yung tinatawag na trifocal functions of risk assessment. The number one, risk identification. Number two, risk analysis. And number three, risk evaluation. Ano ba Tagalog ng risk? Sige nga, anyone?
Panganib po.
Panganib. Ayan. Ano ba yung panganib na naghihintay, na nakaabang sa atin? Okay? Ano yung panganib na pwedeng mangyari sa atin during working hours? Yung mga panganib na yan, we have, number one, to identify ano ba yung panganib na sinasabi. Okay? And then, kapag na-identify na natin siya, i-analyze natin siya. Saan siya nagmula, paano siya nag-occur, or paano siya nangyari. And then, we will evaluate, number three, risk evaluation. We will evaluate kung paano natin siya masusolusyonan at
Mamamanage po.
mamamanage, maiiwasan. Okay? In this figure, so nakita nyo, meron niyang tatlong part. Yeah. The risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. In risk identification, we have first find the risk. Hanapin natin kung nasan yung panganib. And then, for example, sige, I will give you a scenario. For example, isang empleyado, okay, sa kitchen area ay may isang aksidenteng nangyari. Nadulas ang isang empleyado, nabagok, naduguyulo, and then dinala sa ospital. So, sa risk identification, number one, hanapin natin yung panganib. Nakita natin, sa kitchen area, may nadulas. Okay? May nadudulas dyan. Okay, that is finding the risk. Bakit ba siya nadulas? Then number two, recognize the risk. We have to recognize na sa kitchen madulas. That is recognizing the risk. Okay, madulas ang sahig sa kitchen. And then describe the risk. Paano nadulas? Yung empleyado. Ano yung mga reasons kung bakit siya nadulas? Okay? Dun sa incident na nangyari or sa accident na nangyari. In risk identification, how will you identify the risk? Anyone? Ms. Redubla?
Ano po, di ba dun, yung nadulas po ba yung sinabi niyo?
Yes, correct.
Ano po, kung, di ba po kasi syempre nadulas siya, so hahanapin po natin yung reason kung ano po muna yung pinagmulan, kung sa pagkain po ba or sa kung naglilinis or sa crew, doon po muna natin siya hanapin sa pinagmulan po ng pagkadulas niya.
Okay. Number two is risk analysis. Risk analysis comprehend the nature of risk and its characteristics. Is it like ang pagkakadulas ba niya is mild, moderate lang ba, or high risk? Sa tingin niyo, dun sa example natin, yung characteristic ng incident or yung accident, diba?
High risk po, sir.
High risk. Kasi,
High risk.
Kasi po,
yes.
na punta na po emergency.
Okay. Ayan. Kasi, yung safety na nung employee ang nakasalalay. Okay. We have to characterize it. Is it low, moderate, or high risk? Okay. Letter B, sources. Ano yung pinagmulan ng aksidente? O dun sa example natin, ano ba yung sources ng aksidente? Sa tingin nyo, bakit siya nadulas?
Madulas po yung sahig.
Because it's wet. Okay? Basa po yung sahig. That's correct. Okay? Or pwede rin na nagmamadali yung employee. Okay? Nagmamadali siya in the sense na malayo yung pupuntahan niya. That's why kailangan siyang magmadali. May natapakan o natalisod. Ayan. So, baka mamaya may mga nakakalat na mga equipment. Okay? Pwede yon. That is the sources. Letter C, consequences. Okay, kung basa ang sahig, marami nakakalat, ano yung consequences na pwedeng mangyari? Pwedeng hindi lang basta mabago or magkaroon ng sugat sa ulo. Pwede rin mabalian ng buto. Ayan, very good, Miss Musa. Okay? Pwedeng mabalian, fracture, okay? Or other. Pwede rin cause of death. Pwede rin yan. Pwede niya rin yung ikamatay. Okay, that is how we analyze the risk. And the last is scenarios. We have to determine saan siya nanggaling, saan siya dumaan, saan siya pupunta, at kaya nangyari yun. For example, yung empleyado pala na yon is galing sa dining area, tapos pupunta siya sa likod, sa back room or sa back door. Nagmamadali siya kasi nandyan na yung delivery. Dumaan siya sa kitchen, ang daming kalat, basa yung floor, nadulas siya, nabagawang ulo, dinala sa ospital. That is how we analyze the risk. And number 3, the most important is risk evaluation. So this will be supported by fact-based and science-based decision. So i-evaluate natin. Okay? Kaya yan nadulas kasi basa yung floor, ang daming nakakalat. Okay? That is a fact. Nangyari yon. Okay? Science-based. Since it's slippery floor or wet floor, madaling madulas yung mga empleyado. Kasi yung mga sapatos na ginamit nila is not a safety shoes. For example, ang mga empleyado are required to use a rubberized footwear. Okay? However, this particular employee na na-aksidente, ang ginamit niya is yung black shoes na tela or something like na hindi approved or hindi require or hindi approved or hindi appropriate dun sa workplace. Okay? So, that is science-based decision or science-based mga facts na kailangan nating isama sa evaluation. Alright? So, that is how we assess, okay, the risk. So, this figure is adopted from the Philippine National Standards 31,000 of 2018, the PNS ISO 31000 of 2018. Okay, what is ISO?
Ano po? International Organization for Standardization po. Standardization.
And the O is organization. ISO, di ba may nakikita kayo, ISO certified. Di ba? Tapos may mga number yon. Okay? Itong figure na to is based or adapted from the PNS or Philippine National Standards, ISO or International Standards Organization or Standardized Organization, okay, 31000 of 2018. So at the end of this unit, you must be able to differentiate the 3 main tasks of risk assessment. Yan. Okay? Kailangan nyo i-differentiate ano ba yung pagkakaiba ng risk identification, number 1, risk analysis, and then risk evaluation. So, in the context of risk management to be subsequently applied in tourism and hospitality industries, aspects of safety, security, and sanitation. So, again, at the end of this module, kailangan nyo alam nyo kung paano nyo i-define separately ang tatlong ito. Again, the risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. Next slide, please. So, at the end of this module, our learning objective is to describe the principles of risk management. Okay? Ano ba yung mga principles na kailangan nating alamin as regards to risk management? Number 2, Define risk as used in risk assessment. Ayan, tulad nung, ayan, na-define na natin siya actually, or na-translate na natin siya sa Tagalog kung paano natin siya nauunawaan. Number 3, summarize the factors to consider in risk identification. Ayan. So ano ba yung mga factors na kailangan nating alamin for risk identification? And number 4 is discuss the importance of risk identification to risk assessment. Okay, may mga question tayo dito na pwede nating para natin malaman kung ano na ba yung sa tingin nyo or alam nyo sa topic na to. So siguro naman binasa nyo kahit pa paano yung module na sinend ko sa inyo. So maybe some of you or most of you can answer this question. Number 1 question. Is it true or false? Risk management are overall activities to direct and control an organization with regard to the effective of uncertainty on objectives. Anyone from our viewers? Basalius, true. Barbarona, true. Okay, true. Okay, sige. The correct answer is true. Lahat, okay? From top management down to the lowest member of management, and from the first step to the last step is the overall activity to direct and control an organization para i-guide natin and kontrolin natin yung organization para sa to the effect of uncertainty on objectives, para maiwasan natin yung mga hindi kanais-nais na pwedeng mangyari sa ating trabaho. Number 2. Okay, true or false? The purpose of risk management is the creation and protection of value in an organization. Dito sa aking mga guest, Miss Nevares, what do you think is the answer for question number 2?
True po.
True. Why do you think it's true? Okay, Miss Loremas, why do you think it's true?
True po kasi we are studying risk management po to prevent the risk na pwede mangyari sa yun nga po sa example sa working area na.
Okay. Sabi ni Ms. Geronimo, kapag po kasi ma-identify na po natin ang mga risk, makakatulong po sa atin ito upang makaiwas tayo sa mga accident. And that is correct. Okay? The answer to number 2 is true. And last question, number 3. Risk can only be expressed in terms of its likelihood. To our viewers, what is the answer for question number 3? Risk can only be expressed in terms of its likelihood. Is it true or false? False, Professor Basilio. False. Okay. Bakit kaya? Why? Why it's false? Can you give example on how we express the risk? Other ways. How can we express the risk? Risk is everywhere. Wow. Si Ms. Panganiban says, risk is everywhere. Okay din naman yun. To my guests, can you answer?
Sir, ano po, false po, kasi po, yun nga po, this is everywhere nga naman po. Kumbaga, pwede po siyang madala kahit saan po. Ganun po, hindi in terms of its likelihood.
And also, as we discussed on the diagram, nandoon, meron siyang, pwede natin siyang i-express by its characteristics. Diba? Pwede natin din siyang i-express by its sources. Risk can be also expressed by its consequences and also by its scenario. Yes, that's correct. It's part of the risk analysis. So next slide, please. So these are the words to remember for you on this module. Number one is risk. So according to the PNS ISO 31000 of 2018, which is usually expressed in terms of sources, events, consequences, and likelihood, is the effect of uncertainty on objectives. Guys, it's the Philippine National Standards, International Standards Organization na ang nagsabi that the meaning of risk is usually expressed in terms of sources, events, consequences, and likelihood, and is the effect of uncertainty on objective. Number two, effect. Ms. Montajes, can you read the definition of effect?
An effect is a deviation from the expected which can be positive, negative, or both and can address, create, or result in opportunities and threats.
Okay? So, yung mga magiging epekto ng risk, okay? Or magiging epekto ng actions natin can be expected or can be positive, may positive side, may negative side, or both. And can be resolved in as opportunities and pwede ring threats. Okay, opportunities, kahit for example may nakita kang or may nangyaring aksidente, it will be your opportunity to identify and to correct what happened and to prevent it. Okay, opportunity in such a way that you can think of other possible solutions or possible way of making your workplace more safe and secure. Next is objectives. Objectives can have different aspects and categories and can be applied at different levels. So yung mga objectives natin, depende yan kung saan natin siya i-categorize. Okay? Objective in low risk, moderate risk, or high risk. And lastly is the risk management. Risk management are coordinated activities to direct and control an organization with regard to risk. With this topic, i-manage natin. That is the reason why we have this illustration kung paano natin i-manage ang ating mga panganib na pwedeng mangyari or nangyayari sa ating workplace. So yun nga po yung risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. Let's talk about now the risk management principles. Kindly read, Ms. Geronimo.
Risk management principles, creation and protection of value across an organization for performance improvement, innovation promotion, and goal achievement are the very purpose of risk management with its principles stated in Figure 1.2.
So, now we're going to talk about the risk management principle. Ano ba yung mga principle na sinasabi on kailangan natin i-consider on risk management. It is then a proactive management tool in preventing occurrence of possible risk and hazard in the company's value chain. The principles of effective risk management as stipulated in PNS 31000 of 2018 are as follows. So this figure 1.2 is the risk management principles. So we have 8 principles in risk management. Number 1, integrated. Can someone, Ms. Musa, what do you mean by integrate as regard to risk management? Why it should be integrated?
Ano po sir, parang pinagsasama-sama po siya, ganun po.
Okay.
Pagsasamahin po.
Pagsasama-samahin or i-coordinate natin siya, ililink natin siya in each and every department of the organization. Because one decision of one department or one sub-department or sub-organization in a whole company, it can affect other department. So, kailangan po ang risk management is integrated. Okay? Connected siya sa lahat ng ibang organization or ibang department ng isang organization. Okay? Number 2, structured and comprehensive. A structured and comprehensive approach to risk management contributes to consistent and comparable result. Constructed, ibig sabihin, from step 1 to the last step, properly structured siya, may proper procedures, comprehensive, hindi siya paligoy-ligoy, okay? Direct to the point, ano ba ang gusto nating mangyari? On how we can prevent the risk, okay? On how can we manage the risk? That is the meaning of structured and comprehensive. Next, C is customized. Ms. Rase, kindly read and explain letter C.
Customized. The risk management framework and the process are customized and proportionate to the organization's external and internal context related to its objective. So, pag sinabi po natin customized, sir, based on my understanding po, pag sinabi pong customized in risk management, kumbaga, aayusin po or ipapasadya po natin yung mga context po. Kumbaga parang aayusin na po natin yung management po para makaiwas po tayo sa risk. Parang ganun po, sir.
Okay. Di ba pag sinabi nating customized car, ikaw po mismo yung may idea nung gagawin mo. Okay, that's very good. Ibig sabihin, ididepende mo yung process, yung gagawin mo based on the need of your objective. Ibig sabihin, pwede siyang magbago. Pwede mo siyang pagandahin pa. O, sabi ni Mr. Basilio, ipapa-improve mo yung framework para po mas maayos yung pag-iwas sa risk. Pwede siyang baguhin. Pwede siyang i-adjust based on the needed requirement of your objective. That is the meaning of customize. Then, number 4, it's inclusive. Okay? Inclusive, meaning appropriate and timely involvement of stakeholders enables their knowledge, views, and perceptions to be considered, resulting in improved awareness and informed risk management. Inclusive, ibig sabihin kung ano yung requirement ng ating organization based on knowledge, views, perception ng buong organization, doon natin ibabase yung ating mga decisions and mga procedures. For example, ang rules or policies, standards of one company is different from the policies and standards of another company. Kahit parehas silang, for example, ang Jollibee and McDonald's, kahit parehas silang fast food chain, they have different rules, regulation, policies, standards na ginagawa sa loob ng kanilang organization. What more in different industries? So, risk management principle is inclusive. Number 5 is dynamic. Ms. Loremas, kindly read the next slide, please.
Dynamic. Risk can emerge, change, or disappear as an organization's external and internal context changes. Risk management anticipates, detects, acknowledges, and responds to those changes and events in an appropriate and timely manner.
So meaning,
Ako po, sir, pwede po man.
Yes, Miss Matayes, go ahead.
Ano po, yung pag sinabi pong dynamic, pwede po siyang mabago kapag may dun po kumari po sa objectives niyo po, gusto niyo po siyang bagay. Masibag po na, pwede po bagay para rin sa mga tao na dun, para maiwasan po yung risk po.
Okay. One good example is the pandemic that is happening to our industry now. Okay? So sabi, risk can emerge, change, or disappear as an organization's external and internal context changes. Since because of pandemic, ang daming nagbago, so kailangan nating mag-adapt kung ano yung pagbabago na meron externally. So nagkaroon ng quarantine, nagkaroon ng restrictions. So kailangan nating as an organization, we have to also change. Sorry, hindi ko nakita yung message mo. Para kung paano mo po ma-adapt yung change. Yan, that's correct. Dapat tayo ay handa. Dynamic or, sabi ni Mr. Degit, dynamic or nagbabago, sir, nag-a-adjust sa isang organization kasi nga po hindi laging stable at pare-parehas yung risk sa bawat organization. Laging pwedeng magbago, sir. Kaya kailangan din mag-adjust. Okay, that's correct. We have to learn to adapt with our environment. Okay, so as regard to risk management, okay, next is the best available information. Anyone? Please read. Ms. Musa.
Best available information. The input to risk management are based on historical and current information and on future expectation. Risk management explicitly takes into account any limitation and uncertainties associated with such information and expectation. Information should be timely, clear, and available to relevant stakeholders.
So, meaning po, kung ano yung best available information na meron tayo and our information na makukuha or meron should be timely, it's clear, and available to relevant stakeholders. Ibig sabihin po, information that we can get is very important kasi dun tayo magbabase ng ating mga decision. Let's go back to my first example. Nagkaroon ng aksidente, may nadulas. Paano natin yan susolusyonan? Yan. Yung information na makakarating sa management, it should be timely. It's very clear what really happened. Kasi if we're going to give our stakeholders, our management, a wrong information, misleading information, yan, it should be fact. Baka mamaya kasi sabihin nung nakakita, si employee X, and nagpakadulas lang yan, ganyan. Sinasadya niya yan. Or sabihin natin, kaya po yan nadulas kasi po may tumulak sa kanya. So, misleading na yung information. So, hindi na natin siya masusolusyonan. So, we should get the best available information that we can use to guide us on our decision making. Diba nga, sabi nga natin, it should be fact-based and science-based decision making. Next is human and cultural factors. Human behavior and culture significantly influence all aspects of risk management at each level and stages. Yan. So, kailangan din po natin i-consider yung behavior and culture ng ating mga employees and ating environment para tayo ay makapag-decide, makagawa ng magandang decision at na makaka-apekto sa lahat sa buong organization na ating kinabibilang. D is continual improvement. Risk management is continually improved through learning and experience. Anong sinasabi dito? Anyone?
Pinag-aaralan pa rin po yung cost po ng risk.
Okay. Kailangan continuous yung pag-aaral natin kung paano natin mapiprevent yung risk. Kahit Well, actually kahit saan yan eh. Kahit saang aspect. Kailangan hindi tayo maging stagnant. Hindi yung kung ano lang yung trabahong nakasanayan mo, dun ka na lang mabuburo ka na lang doon. Okay, you have to explore, you have to learn something new, you have to look for other opportunities or other experience na pwede mong gamitin. Sa mga nangyayari po, may makukuha tayong aral and experience. Ayan. In our everyday experience or work, meron tayong makukuha experience and knowledge na magagamit natin in the next day. Sabi ni Mr. Digit, habang lalong tumatagal, sir, mas nag-improve at magiging better dahil din sa experience. Ayan. Continuous experience, continual improvement, ibig sabihin, you don't stop learning. Sabi nga, learning is it's a never-ending process. Don't let a day pass na wala kayong isang vocabulary word man lang na nadadagdag sa inyong vocabulary. And then you go to the next level. For example, hindi ka marunong gumawa ng PowerPoint presentation. After this semester, kailangan matuto akong makagawa ng PowerPoint presentation. Okay, next is number 2, risk assessment and risk identification. Risk assessment, which is the overall process of risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation, should be conducted systematically, iteratively, and collaboratively, drawing on the knowledge and views of stakeholders. Ayan. Kailangan, di ba sabi nga natin, it's a trifocal process. We have to identify, analyze, and evaluate the risk. Na kailangan it is systematically, may sistemang sinusundan para makapag-conduct tayo or makapag-produce tayo ng isang magandang views, magandang proseso na magagamit ng ating mga stakeholders for the whole company. Risk assessment starts primarily with risk identification. The very purpose of risk identification is to find, recognize, and describe the risk that might help or prevent an organization to achieve its objective. In risk identification, kailangan yung malaman, kailangan yung hanapin, i-recognize and describe mga risk na pwede natin gamitin para sa ating objective ng company. The organization can use a range of techniques of identifying uncertainties that may affect one or more objectives. In risk identification, the following factors and the relationship between these factors should be considered. Number 1, tangible and intangible sources of risk. Pag sinabi po ba natin tangible, what is the meaning when you say tangible? Miss Rase.
Ano po, when you say tangible po, it is yung nahahawakan po siya, like products po, ganyan.
So,
Physical po.
physically, okay. How about intangible?
Kumbaga ano naman po siya yung, hindi po siya nahawakan, like service po.
Okay.
Tangible po is products and intangible po is service.
Okay. When it comes to risk, meron din tayong tinatawag na tangible and intangible sources of risk. For example, tangible, di ba sinabi natin noon, ang tangible ay pag nagagamit natin yung five senses natin, nakikita, naamoy, nahahawakan, nararamdaman, naririnig. In risk identification, these are the factors, okay, the relationship between these factors na kailangan nating i-consider. Next is causes and events. Ano yung nangyari? Ano yung nangyari at ano yung pinanggalingan ng nangyari? threats and opportunities. In risk assessment, the result can be good or bad. It can be a threat or it can also be an opportunity. Next is vulnerability and capability. Capability, ano ba yung kaya natin gawin? Vulnerability, gaano tayo yung defense mechanism natin is gaano ka strong or kung gaano kahina. Vulnerability on your security, for example, isang establishment, baka mamaya prone siya sa mga magnanakaw, madali siyang pasukin. Okay, capabilities on how can you protect yourself or your establishment. Next is changes in the external and internal context. Yan, yung sinasabi natin kanina na external, for example, ano ba yung mga nangyayari sa labas ng organization? Internal, ano ba yung nangyayari sa loob ng organization? Pwede kasi na ang risk manggaling sa labas and then they will attack us. Or pwede rin ang risk manggaling sa loob and then it will destroy us also. Okay? Next is the nasan tayo? Changes in external indicators of emerging risk. Yan. Indicators of emerging risk, ibig sabihin, ano ba yung mga nagtitrigger? Okay? Para mangyari yung mga risk na pwedeng nating maranasan. Next is the nature and value of assets and resources. The nature and value of assets and resources, ibig sabihin po, ano ba yung nature ng business natin and where can we get our resources? Okay? Value of assets, for example, yung halaga ng isang asset or isang resources, ito ba ay tumataas or bumababa? Okay? Next is consequences and their impact on objective. Ayan. Consequences, meaning may nangyari at ano ba yung naging epekto nito? How this accident, incident affect to our organization. Okay? Next is the limitation of knowledge and reliability of information. Yan yung sinasabi natin kanina. Na magre-rely tayo doon sa information na meron tayo. Okay? Kailangan ang information na makukuha natin, it should be timely, factual, okay? So that we can give or we can direct to the right decision that we're going to do. Okay, next is time-related factors. Okay, baka mamaya kasi magbigay ka ng information nung nakaraang buwan pa pala yun. Next is biases. Yan. Kasi baka mamaya meron tayong pinapanigan, yan. Meron tayong pinoprotect ng iba na for the sake of our personal interests, and then assumptions and beliefs of those involved. So these are the factors and relationship between these factors na kailangan natin for risk identification. The next is the types of risk. Whether a risk will result to a positive or negative outcomes. Yan, tulad sinabi natin, risk can have a positive and a negative outcomes. Uncertainty will always exist. So, ibig sabihin, hindi natin alam, hindi natin, meron mga bagay na hindi natin na-predict, hindi natin napag-isipan. So, that is the uncertainty na tinatawag. So, it can be viewed as an opportunity or threat to any tourism-related enterprise. So, kailangan po, di ba? Who would have thought that this COVID-19 pandemic will change our lives from our workplace to our studies to our daily lives. Okay? So, kailangan po in risk management, risk assessment, okay, or risk identification, we have to anticipate. Yun yung kailangan nating i-improve pa eh. We have to anticipate what will happen next. the uncertainty will always exist. So in this figure 1.3, so meron tayong four types of risk. Number one is compliance risk, control hazard risk, control risk, and opportunity risk. Compliance or mandatory risk, as the name suggests, compliance risk involve government-mandated licenses and business permits and requirements. So it may constitute business clearance from a barangay level, municipal level, or city level, internal revenue offices, Security Exchange Commission, license to operate, compliance to fire and building code, and insurance, among others. So yung sinasabing compliance, mandatory risk, yan po yung mga permits na kinukuha natin from the barangay level up to the national level. Building a company or building a business is not a joke. Meron tayong compliance risk na tinatawag. If you're going to make a business or opening a business, okay, we're going to submit all the necessary requirements for in each and every government agency na kailangan to operate a business. Kailangan pupunta ka sa DTI if you are a sole proprietorship or partnership. Pupunta ka sa DTI to register your name. For example, Sir Irwin Restaurant or Sir Irwin Convenience Store. So before ako makapag-operate, kailangan ko munang i-register yun sa DTI, sa Department of Trade and Industry, na I'm going to open a business and I will call it XYZ Convenience Store. And then after securing that, I'll go to the barangay hall to get a barangay permit. Then I'll go to the city hall to get a business permit. And then I'll register also to the Bureau of Internal Revenue for my filing of taxes. Next is hazard risk or pure risk. So these are the risks that can prevent and deter the achievement of companies' goals, missions, and objectives. So typical example includes insurable type risk, to include fire, storm, flood, earthquake, and injury, among others, causing normal operations to be affected by loss, breakdown, theft, and other threats. HAP can also provide operational disruption, example caused by people, premises, processes, and products. The 4 Ps as illustrated or summarized in table 1.1. So next figure natin. Table 1.1. So here are the categories. We have people. So examples of disruption in people is lack of people skills and limited resources. For example, ibang employee natin is lack of experience, lack of skills, yan. And then improper behavior by a manager and unexpected absences of key associates or mga employees natin, unexpected absences of key associates kapag ang isang empleyado natin biglang umabsent nang walang paalam, and so magkakaroon ng disruption sa ating operations. For example, yung kahera mo biglang umabsent, sino magkakahera? Ikaw na lang. Tapos may attitude yung manager mo, ay manager ako, hindi ako magkakahera, bahala kayo dyan. So yun yung mga example ng disruption by people. And also sickness, illness, or injury to associates. Okay, so pag nagkakaroon ng sakit yung mga employees natin, nai-injure, yeah. So magkakaroon ng disruption by people. Premises, it's actually the place where the organization or the premises is, for example, you have a restaurant. The building or the structure of the building is your premises. Disruption for premises is no enough prohibition, damage or contamination of premises. Ibig sabihin, for example, yung building kung saan tayo nagtatrabaho is damaged na, occupied po by business. Sino yung sagot? Ms. Raz. Okay? So for example, yung office nyo, office or pinagtatrabahuan mo, there is your premises. Okay, damage of physical assets or theft of physical asset. So, yung disruption kapag for example, ang security natin is hindi naman ganun yung vulnerability natin is weak. Okay? So, nanakawan tayo dun sa ating store. Yan. So, yun yung mga disruption na pwedeng mangyari. Okay? Processes. Failure of IT hardware or software. For example, sa isang restaurant, nasira yung POS or point of sale. So, yung proseso nyo, madi-disrupt. Magkakaroon ng distraction. Diba? So, instead of printing out a automatic generated receipt, so kailangan mo magmano-mano kasi may failure of IT hardware or software. Okay, processes, interference due to computer virus and hacker. Yan, pag nagkaroon ng mga viruses yung ating mga computer, yan, na-hack yung account natin, yan. Mismanage of information, yan. And then communication or transport failure. For example, ang delivery ng mga supplies natin, supposedly darating siya ngayon, nagkaroon ng nasiraan yung sasakyan, yung magde-deliver ng mga products natin. So magkakaroon ng disruption. Okay? And last category is the product. Poor product or service quality, supplier failure, delivery of defective goods or its pasts, and logistics failure. Logistics failure, this can also be a failure on the process or the transportation failure. Yeah. Logistics, for example, yung mga i-deliver sa atin mga goods, okay? Nagkaroon ng defect, okay? Or deliver sa atin yung mga canned goods natin, puro expired or puro yupe yung lata. Tapos yung ano natin, yung supposedly frozen chicken natin, pagdating sa atin, hindi na frozen. That is the defective goods. Okay, delivery of defective goods. So these are the 4-piece categories of that Hopkins says for operational disruption. Next risk is the control risk. So these are risks that can cause uncertainty or doubt about the ability to achieve companies' goals, missions, and objectives. One classical example of control risk is the internal financial control protocol. If the financial or control protocols are removed, there might be uncertainty on what will happen. Question: what will happen if the internal financial control protocols has been damaged, corrupted? What will happen? Sige, I will wait for your answer here in our chat box. Ano daw sabi sa comment? Bankruptcy po, sabi ni Ms. Raz. Mali po pala. Well, actually, you're correct, Ms. Raz. Pwede rin po yun, bankruptcy. Bago tayo mapunta sa bankruptcy, ano po muna yung pwedeng mangyari if the internal financial control protocols has been corrupt? Mananakawan po. Yan. Okay? Very good, Miss Geronimo. What else? What will happen? Magkakagulo po, sir. Magkakagulo in the sense of, paano magkakagulo?
Sa tingin ko po yung pag naano po yung control protocols po nila, yung objectives po nila, masisira po.
Alin po yung masisira? Sorry.
Yung objectives po nila, hindi po nila masusunod po.
Okay. What else? How about you, Miss Redubla? All workers are affected. Kulang po ng mga CCTV to monitor the store, sir. Okay? Miss Redubla, any thoughts of control?
Ganun din po ako, sir, sa katulad po nung kay Melody po. Kasi since magkaano nga po, nawala na po sila ng control. So may possibility po na meron pong kumuha, lalo na po na hindi po naiiwasan sa mga company yung may mga, ano tawag doon? Parang masisilaw kasi may mga ganyan po sa, hindi po natin nasasabi sa isang organization, meron pong masisilaw sa pera. And then pag yung time na nagkaroon na po ng ganitong control, na nawala na po sila ng control, possible na po yung mga nakawan na nangyayari po.
Okay. So once the control hindi naman na-manage properly, okay, kung sino-sino na yung humawak ng pera, sino-sino na nag-purchase ng product, okay, once the control or financial control or any part of the organization nawala yung control, is that wala nang i-manage ang organization. Sabi din, control protocols are depends on the successful management of companies' resources and effective implementation. Hinayaan mo na lang na bumili ng mag-purchase na lang na mag-purchase yung purchasing department mo ng mga goods, mga supplies, without studying the financial status ng company. Diba? Magkakalugihan, masisira lang yung product. Sabi ni Mr. Degit, if the internal financial protocol will be corrupted, sir, dahil nga sila ay may control sa finance, maapektuhan yung organization, sir, kulangin yung budget, and tataas ang risk ng buong company po. Yan, that's correct. Pagbaba ng finance ay isang company, okay, nawawalan ng inventory since hindi secured yung pera na nasa state. Okay, very good. Fornea says, possible po na malugi ang isang kumpanya or ng isang organization or kawalan po ng budget. Yeah, so that is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons, if the financial control protocols has been corrupted or napabayaan, na mismanage, okay? Magpa-purchase na lang sila ng magpa-purchase, okay? Baka mamaya mag-withdraw ng pera without the approval of the management. Okay, so at the end, mababankrupt lang yung business. Masisira lang yung business. Okay? Napabayaan na yung mga stocks. Bili ng bili tapos hindi naman pala kailangan. Okay, nag-expire na lang lahat ng products. So that is the control protocol. And another example is that nawalan tayo ng control sa ating mga employees na hinayaan na lang natin sila mag-absent without the approval of the management. Diba? Sino na magsaserve sa mga guests natin? Wala na. Yung ginagawa ng 5 tao, tapos gagawin na lang sa isang araw ay gagawin na lang ng isang tao. Diba? Hindi naman pwede yun. Nawawalan tayo ng control sa operations ng ating organization. And lastly is the opportunity risk. So these are risks that are usually deliberately sought or embraced by the organization, especially for the future long-term success of any organization. So these risks arise because the organization is seeking to enhance the achievement of goals, missions, and objectives. Some organizations are willing to invest in high-risk business strategies in anticipation of high return on investment. So for example, nakakita ang isang organization ng opportunity. Okay? So, have you heard of the saying, high risk, high return, low risk, low return? So this will apply to the opportunity risk. Parang ganito yan. In the most simplest way of explaining it, okay? Kapag high yung risk, high ang returns or rewards. Ayan, tama yung term ni Mr. Ocampo. High risk, high return or high reward. Moderate risk is moderate lang din ang reward. Low risk, low lang din ang return or ang reward. If the risk is 100%, usually ang reward niyan is 100 din. Pero since it is high risk, okay, pwede rin na zero ang maging reward mo. Kasi mataas nga yung mataas yung risk eh. Okay? Mataas yung risk, mataas yung reward mo, pero pwede rin na zero yung maging reward mo. Pag doon ka sa moderate, ibig sabihin 50% lang yung risk mo. So more or less, nasa 50 lang din yung reward mo. 50-50 ka lang din. Okay? 50% of getting it at a moderate reward or 50% lang din ang magiging chance mo na bumagsak yung opportunity mo. Kung low naman, for example, nasa 10% lang yan, maliit lang din yung chance na malugi ka, maliit lang din yung chance na magkaroon ka ng reward. Okay? Nakuha po? Naintindihan po?
Opo.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. And so, that ends the discussion for the, thank you, Miss Montajes.
Welcome po, sir.
Okay, so you may remove the presentation now.